Hi everyone, welcome back to the Art of Business English. It's Andrew Ambrosius here again, and in today's episode, I'll be looking at the difference between make and do. Yes, very often these two verbs are confused. Now, just last week, one of my students asked me about the difference between make and do, and I thought to myself, why don't I just prepare an episode for him and for the rest of you on the differences between make and do, and that way everyone can benefit from this question. So by the end of this episode, you're going to be able to understand the difference between make and do. Okay, that's the first thing. Then I'm going to also help you guys understand make and do as collocations. Okay, that's very important. And finally, I'll be sharing with you some make and do business expressions. You'll notice that on the website, if you're listening to the podcast, then head over to the artofbusinessenglish.com, because the post that accompanies this podcast has a cheat sheet or a collocation list, okay? And with this sheet, we can help you to study these make and do collocations. So there's a little bit of help there for you. All right, so let's look then at how they are confused. Firstly, the confusion basically lies in the fact that there is no distinction in Spanish between the verb make and do. The verb in Spanish is hacer. Okay, so both make and do are hacer. So therefore, we can see that there are issues with that, all right? Because sometimes people don't appreciate when it's do or when it's make, and they're often confused. So as a language learner, it's important to understand the basic difference between make and do, all right? So make and do are often collocated with nouns, all right? And for example, let me give you one in Spanish. In Spanish, we would say, Tengo que hacer los deberes, okay? Or, hacer una foto. So both of these use the verb hacer, all right? However, what I commonly see is that people, they apply the incorrect use of make and do, particularly with these two expressions. So these phrases are often translated to the following, okay? People often say, I have to make the homework. Or they say, I need to do or make a photo. Now, both of these translations or these collocations in this form are incorrect, okay? And the good thing, okay, the good thing is that native people, they will understand what you mean if you say it like that. However, it does sound very wrong, okay? So remember that collocations, and we have discussed this in previous episodes, you can link back to those on the website, on the Art of Business English website. So if you do want to refresh your collocation list, then take a look, okay? But remember that collocations are words that naturally go together in English, okay? Some collocations are very strong, meaning that only one form is accepted, all right? However, others are a bit weaker, so maybe there's 2 or 3 words that would collocate together and more or less mean the same thing. For example, you can make a decision or you can take a decision. So those two collocations are less strong, okay? Now, as I said before, check out on the website for the collocations or the collocations episode that we've done, all right? Now, let's refer now to the correct form of those two examples I gave you. The correct form of the first one is to have to do my homework, okay? So, tengo que hacer los deberes is I have to do my homework. In English, homework is possessive. So we do homework. And in the second one, okay, it's take a photo. So you'll see that you can't use make or do with photo because take a photo is a very strong collocation and only take goes with photo. So you can see the problems that people face when trying to translate these collocations. Okay, so what can we do? Well, let's have a look then at the basic differences between the two so that we have a basis to work from. Okay, so make. In English, we use make as a verb that is related to things like construction, fabrication, planning, or production. Okay, so when we use it, we need to try and remember it in this context. All right. For example, we make arrangements. To make arrangements means to make plans or to organize something. Okay. So you don't do arrangements, you make arrangements. It's impossible to do arrangements. That collocation does not work together. Okay, so do is regarded basically as a verb about performing an action. Okay, so it's more doing a task. So for example, as I mentioned before, we do our homework, and doing homework is a task. Okay, we are performing a task. We can't make our homework because we're not actually fabricando una cosa. Okay, we are actually doing a task. Okay, so even though this is important to note, even though this is a very basic difference between the two, unfortunately there's still many mistakes because both make and do are also used widely in a variety of fixed expressions or collocations. So this means then that learners must memorize or study these fixed expressions and collocations. What's the good thing? Once you know the expression and you have memorized it, it's a fixed expression, so it doesn't change. Okay, so once you know it, and that's the good thing. There's no exceptions. Okay, so once you memorize do your homework, you'll always say do your homework, and there's no exception to today or with this verb or with this tense it's make. Okay, no, that is not the case. It's always do your homework. Okay, so memorize the collocations and then you're on the path to speaking more fluent English. So how can we study them? All right, well, what I advise is that really it's quite simple. Okay, you just need to learn the words which are commonly used. Okay, because make and do are very commonly used. You can study a list of commonly used collocations with make and do and start to practice them. Okay, so the best way to learn collocations in general is to read. Okay, I often say that. I often repeat the importance of reading. And the second thing to do is you just start studying lists of collocation verbs, collocations and with the verbs. Sorry, collocations with the verb make and do. And as I've mentioned in the previous episodes, the best way to learn these things is by doing them in small groups, okay? Not trying to study a list of 100 collocations, okay? I mean, I would recommend starting small, a list of 5, all right? If you do 5, but study them and memorize them well, then you will make progress faster than trying to memorize 100 all at once and not really feeling that you're progressing. So what I've given you guys on the post is a cheat sheet or a study guide, okay? And in this guide, I've included all of the collocations that are in this post and on this episode. So check out the guide and download it from the website, all right? And as I said, the strategy basically is simple. It's just choose your favorite 5 collocations with make and do, or you can choose 4, and then what you can also do is research one of yours. Okay, you can just do a Google search of that. Okay, and then we just memorize them, study them, and we can implement them into our business English every week. So by doing that, we can just start by putting them into emails. Okay, remember, it's important to understand the context they're being used in, and the translation as well can help. But really importantly, the context is where you will make the best progress and use them correctly. Okay, so once you're comfortable using those 5, then you can study 5 more, all right? And really, it's as simple as putting them in a post-it or on a post-it note next to the phone, or having a little list in your diary, or having a list on your computer, or putting a post-it note next to your computer's screen. Okay, having them visually available will help you to use them quickly in a phone call or in an email. Okay, so let's look at some business collocations with make and do. All right, the first one is we're going to look at is the list with make. Okay, so make arrangements. Okay, as I said before, the business can make arrangements for employees to work from home. So that is to arreglar. Organizar, arreglar. Next one, make a change or make changes. The new manager is planning to make some changes. Corregir or hacer cambios. All right, so I'm putting the translation there for you as well. I recommend you do the same. Make a choice. Jill had to make a choice between her career and her family. Escoger. Okay, so that's escoger, to make a choice. Make a comment. Would anyone like to make any comments on the talk? Okay, hacer un comentario. All right. Make a contribution. She made a useful contribution to the discussion. That is to aportar, okay, something to the discussion. Make a decision. All right, we make decisions in English. I'm glad it's you who has to make the decision, not me. So, tomar una decisión. Now, as I mentioned earlier, make a decision can also be take a decision. So that is a less strong collocation. Make an effort, okay? Joe is really making an effort to impress his boss. That is to esforzarse, okay? To make an effort. Make an excuse. So stop making excuses and finish the report. So hacer excusas, bueno, or disculparse, okay? Make friends. Karen is very good at making friends when she attends trade fairs. So that's hacer amigos. Make an improvement. It's mejorar, okay? So modifying the marketing strategy has really made an improvement to customer engagement, all right? So you can see how these can be used at work. Make a mistake. They've made a mistake with our bill. So cometer un error, okay? People make mistakes all the time. Make a phone call. I've got to make some phone calls before I leave the office, okay? Hacer una llamada. Make progress. We are making progress towards meeting our sales targets, okay? This is avanzar, okay? And make a complaint. The customers made a complaint about the quality of the service, okay? That's quejarse. Make a fortune. John made a fortune on Bitcoin trading. So, es ganar una fortuna or un dineral. Make ends meet. Mary can barely make ends meet on her salary, all right? That's llegar al fin de mes, all right? Not a great situation to be in, okay, if you can't make ends meet. Make the most of. Now, this is very common, it's a great expression. We need to make the most of this gap in the market, and that is aprovechar, okay, or tomar provecho. So, very commonly used. And make a point. We can use this expression often in meetings, okay? I would just like to make the point that this has already been agreed. So, decir algo importante. Now, let's look at collocations with do, all right? Okay, so do your best. All that matters in the meeting is that you do your best. And this is a fixed expression, meaning hacer lo mejor que uno pueda. Do damage. The product recall did some damage to our reputation, dañar. So, for example, if we look at damage to reputation, we could look at Volkswagen, who had problems with the emissions. Okay, that was a scandal, and that did damage to their reputation. Do an experiment. We are doing an A/B experiment, or an A/B testing experiment, to see how customers react to the different offers. So that's experimentar. A job well done. Our boss values a job well done over speed. So un trabajo bien hecho. Next one is do someone a favor. Okay, so can you do me a favor? Very common, okay, expression. I need your advice on this matter. So hacer un favor. Next one is do harm. Okay, changing the rules may do more harm than good. Again, hacer daño. Do one's duty. All employees are required to do their duty for the sake of the company. So this means to cumplir con su obligación. Do one's part. We ask that during the crisis, everyone does their part to increase sales. And this is cumplir con su parte. And then do research. Okay, in English, we do research. The company needs to do some market research before launching the new product. And this is investigar. Next one, do some work. Okay, very important. Everyone does work every day. So we'll do some work on our project and then we'll go to the cinema. Okay, trabajar. And finally, do good or do bad. I'm of the opinion that this will do more bad than good. So conseguir más malo que bien. Okay, so those are some examples. Again, there are many more, but what you can see is that I have given you the collocation. I've given you an example of it within the context. That's very important. And then the translation. So with the three elements, you should really be able to understand their meaning and start to use them. Okay, remember that as they're collocations, they must be conjugated. So will do for future, I'm going to do for future, did in the past, has been done. So this is a passive. It's very important that we conjugate these verbs correctly, okay, with the correct subjects and tenses. Now, some final thoughts, okay. Basically, you can see that make and do are very commonly used, okay? They're probably some of the most commonly used verbs and collocations. It's not that difficult to improve because they're so common, you know, that if you start reading and listening to native people, you will hear them used frequently, okay? So it's not that difficult. They're not abstract or obscure. And you just need to understand the basics, okay? The difference between the two, which is like one's about planning and producing. The other one is about tasks, completing tasks. And you also just need to study small groups of these collocations, make and do. And then once you are comfortable with them, start with another small group, okay? You can do that on the study plan cheat sheet. And just start implementing them on a daily basis into your business English. Use them in your emails. Use them in your telephone conversations or presentations, okay, or meetings. And that's really all. If you guys are interested, please, if you like this episode, then please share it, like it, and also comment on it. Be more than happy to answer your questions. Remember, if you do have some questions, you can reach us at our Facebook page, which is at www.facebook.com/the-AOBE. And I'm going to put together some practice exercises if you want to practice over at theartofbusinessenglish.com. So if you guys liked it, please share it. That really helps us a lot. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. I've got some interviews coming up in the future, so stay tuned for those. And till next time, keep on enjoying learning your business English and take care, everyone. It's a pleasure having you, and we'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.